Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Stanley's Lucky Man, Season 2, Episode 9. One thing that I wanted to clear the air is because I've been doing this series consistently, and a lot of people who have consistently watched this are all of a sudden just be like, hey, what is going to happen? Because I have mentioned on this channel that I'm going to go through a hard reset. So anything that isn't brand spanking new, like Superman and Lois, everything as far as content goes is going to be put on hold, meaning that I'm going to be putting something more than likely brand new out. Because, like I explained it in the video, I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff brand new out. I'm going to do a hard reset on the channel to try to get more eyes on the product, so to speak. And so eventually, when I feel the channel has leveled back out, then more than likely there might be some things that come back on the channel, like Stanley's Lucky Man, and a number of other things that I would have deemed something to go well on the channel. But like, I just need to just like try to like avoid like losing a number of things. So I'm gonna try to like change. So hey, here's the thing. If people want to see this series back, watch. Like, watch. I don't know. Like, it's not your fault. It's just the fault of the fact of like, man, did this go really well in the very beginning, or in the very beginning of a season, but then all of a sudden it just trickled off. So yeah, but I actually did like this episode. And so it's kind of hard to just be like, yeah, but I want to get into one more episode. I want to finish off the season. But, like, I've already just said, like, but hard reset, though. I don't want to go back on that. So hopefully the channel can level back out quickly, and then I'll keep coming back into here. So please don't unsubscribe if you just came for just this content, because I'll keep doing it eventually, believe me. So please stay. Please watch. Please do something. Help. White flag. Anyways, so what is this episode to be that I actually did enjoy? So we focus on a kind of, I would say, like a very like bare knuckle like fighter named Jay Tate. Jay Tate is to be quite possibly another found bracelet wielder. And so we're like, wait a minute, like, are we having 3 bracelet wielders? Because thumbnail might like ruin something for somebody, sadly enough. But there's only a very limited amount of images that I can find anywhere, so I couldn't have figured out what would be the perfect image to whatever. So yeah, it could spoil something for somebody. Or maybe it could be a flashback. You don't know. This whole episode could be a flashback. Yeah, it's a flashback, believe me. But when there is undeath, there is always death. But yeah, so the focus of this episode is to be still back on Isabella, because if this woman wasn't important enough in a previous episode where she was to be under suspicion of murder, all of a sudden she is back under suspicion of murder yet again in this episode, with a different detective really just trying to say that, yeah, Isabella, murderer. Winter is taking on the Isabella case and is trying to figure some things out. Trying to just go, like, this seems odd. So, like, we have Winter who is putting the puzzles together in this episode. So, really, it also just comes down to new bracelet wielder. And so, really, that's just what comes down to in this episode. really, a lot of people would say, well, is Harry still alive? Sadly. Watch the episode! Because maybe he is. Because I'm going to go into spoilers anyways, and I'll say if he's alive or not. Because I forcibly have to. So, watch the spoilers then, and you'll just be like, oh, okay, good. Or, okay, crap. Or, okay, that sucks. Because when there is undead, there is always dead. So, that's what I'm saying cryptically, bizarrely. That doesn't even make sense, and I know it, but believe me. Anyways, so going on into here, really good episode. Like kind of one of those where it's like, like show changing kind of episodes. Where yeah. So it was really good. Check it out. I liked this episode really very much. I liked the drastic direction they were going for, but like it's just also just like I wish they would have kept with the new thing, you know? I wish they would have kept with this new thing, but they didn't keep with new thing. They kind of went back to some old kind of stuff, and I'm like, so now we're gonna have another episode where it's just like the person has to retain the thing that was lost in this episode. Okay, all right, kind of figured that. So let's go into spoilers about this because there is so much that I cannot seem to say here because there is a reason. Let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about the time I get to spoil this episode. So, unspoiler. So, or no, wait. Technically, I covered that. So, go back into spoilers. So, spoiler time now. So, Isabella is quite possibly a murderer. And so Winter is to be suspicious. And here's how we get to that point. So, we are to get to, in the very beginning of this, we had that cliffhanger ending from the last episode to say, yeah, Harry's dead. Like, he's freaking dead. He lost the bracelet. Like, man, does that suck. So, what ends up happening is, like, ambulances are being called, and Eve is taking the bracelet and running off. She's all crying boo-hoo because she's like, Harry was the best of us. And so, all of a sudden, while Eve is crying for Harry, all of a sudden she's getting mugged. If it's not like the worst like this woman is like holding the bracelet in her hand, and she has like the worst luck in the world. So, this guy who is named Jay Tate is mugging Eve, and so Eve has nothing but the bracelet on her, and so like this guy is just like, well, hey, what do you got on you? What do you got? And so she's like, all I have is this bracelet. And so the only way that you're going to be able to take this bracelet from me is if you wear it. And so like Eve just slaps this bracelet on Jay Tate. And I'm like, what a horrible move. Because it's like, how cool is this guy going to be? But then I found out like, okay, he's like a bare knuckle boxer. And like he pulls like a Lionheart. If you've ever seen the Jean-Claude movie Lionheart, oh my god, like this guy basically does the exact same thing where he like there's some empty pool and he's like beating some guy in it. It's pretty cool. Like people are bidding, they're throwing money, they're like, yeah, I'm bidding for that guy. All that money, him. Win? Yeah, we're bidding. Just throwing money on the ground saying, I bid! Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, Jay Tate is to, of course, be this, like, brawler, boxer, whatever, that kind of fights anywhere. And it seems since he had a very successful bout, he actually got to be able to really and legitimately go into a boxing ring and fight another guy off. So that leads us to have Harry, who is in the hospital and he had been revived. So he is alive. So what a freaking like garbagey cliffhanger. But I was just like, oh my god, wait a minute. Like there has to be something that they're gonna do with this. And that's when I came up with new bracelet wearer. Because and like what they do here I was actually okay with. Like the whole like putting this on like some like boxer actually was a really good idea. I just wish that they would have kept going along with it, but they didn't. Like I guess they're just like, no, we gotta slap this back onto Harry, one way or the other, and so like spoilers, that happens. So Harry is in the hospital and he is to like talk to his partner, and so like Winters is to eventually come on in and just be like, "Hey Harry, you suck because you died. You almost did. Like how could you have just died? How could you?" Because it seems like both Winter and Harry have had this like relationship. So like I would assume Winters was like, "How could you have almost died on me, Harry?" And Harry is just like, dude, like, I'm in this bed. Like, don't hassle me, woman. Winter, whatever. Anyways, like, that's what I thought that this relationship was breaking down to be. Uh, so yeah, Harry is telling, like, Winter, man, like, Isabel, like, tried to kill me. Like Isabel has been using an ability to kill a number of people, like within most of my cases, and she tried to kill me. And so Winter is just like, you know what, Harry, like you're not coming at me with a very sound mind, and like if anything, I think you just need to rest. And Harry's like, look at me. Like, do I look like I'm a loon to you? Like, dude, I'm in a hospital bed. Like, all I've been doing is resting. Like, I'm telling you, like, Isabella, do not trust her. Like, she will probably kill you next. Like, watch out, Winter. Watch your back. Watch your six. Because somebody's going to be coming in and... you. So, freaking... look into Isabel. Really look into that, you know? So Winter is to all of a sudden take Orwell and Surrey and just be like, okay, you know what? There might be something suspicious about Harry's accident. So how about we go and we look into his car, we look into the spot of where he had gotten like electrocuted. And here's the thing also. So Winter does not tell, like, Winter is to tell Isabella that Harry was to get electrocuted, but he doesn't say that Harry died or that he's still alive. I guess like, Winter goes home to Isabella, and Isabella's like, hey, I thought that I could just come back home because you probably had a very hard day. Like, tell me all about it. So Winter is saying like, yeah, like Harry, like my friend Harry, like my coworker, like got electrified. And like Isabella's like, oh, that's a shame that he died, and this and that, and like she's like kissing on him and hugging on him, and like, and so like Winter didn't even like he didn't even say that he died. He didn't say that he was still alive. He just said electrified. Like electrified could still say that like Isabella should have said, it's like, well, like, is he still alive or is he dead? Like, I'm concerned. Like, what does electrified exactly mean? Because, like, when I would think of electrified, I would say that he immediately keeled over afterwards. So Winter is kind of seeing the reaction of Isabella, And he's like, okay, this seems off. This seems weird. Uh, so both Orwell and Surrey are to go and inspect Harry's car. They end up finding that there is coincidentally some like damage right by where the brake line should be. And Surrey had mentioned that Harry had serviced this recently, and there was never that problem there. And so it just seemed very odd. Like there's a lot of things just perfectly timed to kill Harry perfectly, and like that seems very suspicious. So Surrey and Orwell bring that to Winter's attention, and so Winter's just like okay. So Winter is to want every single case of the last 3 months of Harry's to just kind of check to see if anyone consistently died by bizarrish manners during Harry's cases. Like anybody that maybe Harry was to think was a person like the preacher from the previous episode, or the like anybody that kind of would have been a shady ash like person could have probably died, and like there might have been a consistent pattern of that. So that's what Winter is kind of looking into, that if there's any kind of suspicious deaths that have been happening into any number of Harry's cases. That just seems kind of odd. Like, especially when Winter was to ask Harry, it's like, hey, like that one guy who ended up like burning, like getting freaking roasted. It's like, is there something you're not telling me, Harry? And Harry's like, no, I'm not telling you anything. Because like Harry confessed to Winter that like Harry or Winter, like, hey man, like I used to date Isabella, but I found out that she was like a psychopath, and I stopped dating her like before it became too late. So if anything, Winter, like if you're gonna go into this relationship, make sure that you know everything about this woman. Like it gets to the point where Winter, like I'm going through a lot of the Winter stuff because I think that's the most important thing here. So Winter is to eventually ask Isabella about her going to Gamblers Anonymous. It's like, you couldn't have told me about being in the Gamblers Anonymous thing. Like you wouldn't have thought to have told me at any moment, at any time, or whatever. And so Isabella's like, well, I didn't like like that's why they call it anonymous. Like if anything, like I didn't want to reveal, like I thought like there was a rule that said that you shouldn't or whatever. And so Winter's like, okay, but like I'm the love of your life, and you're not going to tell me, you're not going to tell me stuff. That seems odd. Like so anyways, like she can just say that she's going anywhere, and maybe she's going to run into the arms of another man, and then I'm not going to know because she says like, "Oh, well, I'm just going somewhere." Where is that somewhere? I would just like to know. Like if anything, like if someone all of a sudden is going to call me and say, "Hey, your girlfriend is dead now." Like where did like did she say where she was going? I'm like, "No, she said she was going somewhere." Wouldn't that seem weird to anybody? That's just me, but I don't know. So, but that feels like what Isabella is doing. She's just saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to go out like somewhere." Like maybe a bar, maybe a murder crime scene, whichever. I can't really tell the two apart. So, anyways, so Winter is going and speaking with Anna, and so Anna is asking Winter. It's like, well, hey, like, what are your intentions with being with Isabella? Because like I find her to be kind of a very unsavory character. I'm paraphrasing; it's not the exact way, but like Anna's just like, you know what, I just don't trust Isabella, and so what like are your intentions with Isabella right now? And so Winter is just like, well, I'm trying to reassess me and her relationship right now, and so really I want you to tell me if there's anything suspicious that you saw while driving with Harry. And so Anna had mentioned that there had been some like 4x4 certain kind of car behind her. She couldn't get the license plate, but like she felt like this car was following them. And so Winter was just like, okay, that sounds weird. Like how like that person like didn't stop for anything or didn't think that they needed to maybe call the police themselves or whatever. Like you would have thought they would have gone out. So Winter takes that to Isabella and is to mention about this car to see what her reaction is. She's like, yeah, I think we're to go and hunt down whoever had this car and eventually kind of get to uh, who this culprit is. Like, eventually, I think Winter is to mention, like, exactly where the address is, and that is to be close to where Isabella is to live. So, anyways, let's go through the other things. Let's put a pin in that because that is to happen way further down the road. So, what is else going on here? So, Harry is to eventually not have bracelet on right now because eventually once he is to wake up in the hospital, he's like, hey, no bracelet. Hey, I can tan now in a certain place. So Harry is to go and have like Daisy kind of hug him in the hospital. Everybody and the brother is checking on Harry, even probably people that probably hated him, probably villains that wanted to kill him. They're like, hey, how is Harry doing? Because if Harry's not here, this show's getting canceled. Even though it only had, like, it only went through 3 seasons, I guess. And then, like, sadly enough, like, the third season didn't even last till 10 episodes. Like, it went till 8. Man, that's gonna suck. When eventually I'm like, man, I really like this show, and now it's gonna be ending. Oh, it sucks. Anyways, so but bizarrely, like, people love this show. People just love this show, but if anything, there's only 3 seasons of it. It seems like there is quite an audience for this, but there's only 3 seasons? Maybe there'll be a revival? I don't know. Maybe they'll do a movie? I don't know. Anyways, that could always be a possibility. You could do a movie franchise. Who knows? Anyways, so... I doubt it. So... Where was I? So Harry is to eventually leave, and so immediately Harry is to go back to Eve to just be like, hey, where's the bracelet? Like, put it back on my hand so I can just get all up in my luckness. You know what I mean? And Eve is just like, well, here's the thing. I don't have the bracelet. Because even, like, Isabella was going to Eve and was like, hey, where's the bracelet? I know you have it. And Eve was like, the bracelet is destroyed. You're the only one left who has the bracelet. And so Isabella went to some bar and she was like moping and groping herself, I guess. Like she was moping and just all sad because she was like, now I have no companion. I'm all alone. Hoo hoo hoo. Dude, you have Winter. What is that to you? But I guess, like, Isabel is just using Winter to get back at Harry? As if, like, Harry's gonna get all jelly now? I don't know. But anyways, so... like, Isabella was talking to some guy in this bar, which is to just lead to this guy, like, really just thinking that, like, oh, heck yeah, like, I'm gonna get this woman, and I'm just gonna, like, press onto her, and like she's gonna love me. And Isabella's like, no, I'm not. Like this guy was really pressing on her, and eventually Isabel took care of that. So anyways, pushing on. So Eve is talking with Harry and saying like, yeah, here's the thing, there's a mugger and he got the bracelet, and so now we have to like figure out, like, it seems very bizarre how they figure out, like, who this person is. Like, I don't quite understand how exactly they connected, like, to figure out who this guy was. Like maybe, I guess, luckily he was some like famous guy that had like a very memorable face or whatever. So, pushing on, let's get to the Jay Tate stuff. So, Jay Tate and his brother, who is Nathan, was to try to get the bracelet off of Jay's hands so they can pawn it and try to make some money. They obviously couldn't take the bracelet off, and so they're like, well, like I guess we just have to get to this bare knuckle fight. Like looks kind of like UFC style, but like guys are wearing tank tops and shorts, and like it's basically Lionheart. If you've never seen Lionheart, man, are you like you're missing something because that's actually a pretty decent Jean Claude movie. Yeah, you have a lot of times where bizarrely he's hitting people like this, like with his arm, like with his forearm a lot. Like it's not like an actual fist. It's like him like hitting people with his arm. It looks weird, but like he would, I guess Jean Claude was trying to try something at some point in time, but to each their own. So, anyways, so of course wouldn't you think it? Jay is to win this first fight out, and so right after that, there is to be like this guy who is to mention like, okay, well you're gonna get a real boxing fight. Hopefully you win this one, and so that's what leads to have Harry and Eve find this guy and like try to get the bracelet off him, but like you can't really get it off. So Jay is in this match with this guy, and Jay is just cleaning this guy's clock to the point of this guy is just like, "Ugh," and Jay is like joking around. He's like taunting. He's like rope doping. It's like, like, ha, 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 look at me. Like, I'm not even gonna put my freaking hands up. I'm just gonna like, look at me. There's chin right there. Go ahead, kind of thing. Because Jay is like, dude, I have this guy's number. He is freaking like slugging around. So like this guy should just fall over right now, and this match could be over. So Jay takes this guy down easily, and so after the match is to be over, that's when Harry is to confront Jay and say like, "Aha! Like, I see that you have this bracelet. If anything, you don't know what you're wielding, but if anything, I bet this luck feels really good, right? Doesn't it?" Like, and Harry's just like, well, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of luck, but then also something bad is gonna happen, and so Jay uses his luck to all of a sudden cause this fight to break out, wherever all of a sudden everybody's fighting everybody. Harry is to get freaking popped in the nose, and you can see like his nose is bleeding, and like I don't know if that happened by accident or if that was like a planned thing to have Harry just get popped in the nose. But like I was just like, okay, like stuff could have happened by accident or whatever, but like I doubt their star actor, like I would assume, wouldn't have not gotten freaking his nose broken, because that would seem like a stupid thing. Just like, oh yeah, we definitely want to just hurt our main actor because that seems dumb. So Jay and Nathan scramble out of this place, and so Nathan just decides, you know what, like I'm not gonna leave like on foot. I'm gonna frickin' just steal this guy's nice looking car in front of me. And so reasonably, Jay just grabs the guy that is kind of getting out of this car and just beats him, just beats the crap out of him. And like his woman runs off, and so uh, Jay and Nathan get in the car, and so like they find that this probably is not a guy to F with because he has a nice gun and he has a bunch of coke in his car. So it's like, yeah, you probably messed with the wrong guy. And I'm assuming that this is probably going to come back to haunt Jay, or come back to eventually, like, we're going to find that something happened because of all of this. So I'm wondering if something is going to happen because of what had happened here. I don't know how, but like some way I just had that feeling. So, uh, pushing on. So Jay and Nathan are to uh, are to eventually go to a bar, and so Jay's still like, man, like I feel like a millionaire, like this is great. So Harry is to eventually spot these two guys at this bar, and Harry is to basically tell this guy, it's like, yeah, like you still don't understand this bracelet, do you? So Harry is to tell Jay to pick a card, any card, but it's probably going to be the Queen of Hearts. So this guy picks a card, and of course it's the Queen of Hearts, and it's like, eh? So he drops that, and he's like, okay, uh, Jack of Diamonds, and so, wow, that's weird. Eight of Clubs, like, that's just a card trick. That I don't believe luck. What? No. But then all of a sudden, Nathan is to have this like brain aneurysm, and he needs to like drop like a sack of potatoes, tomatoes, whichever. He drops. He's like instant death, and so Jay is like, "Oh my god, my brother just died." Seriously, my brother just died? What? So brother is taken to the hospital, and he's called it like, yeah, this guy's dead. So Jay is now with Eve and Harry, and he's like, "Are you guys serious about all this? Like really now? Like you're not pulling my leg, kind of thing? Like." So Harry is to tell Jay, it's like, well, like the only way, or Eve tells Jay that the only way that Jay is going to lose that bracelet is by the end of his like life span, which basically means that we're probably going to be pulling this a little bit short with Jay some way or another. So, so Harry is to explain the bracelet more, and Harry's basically say like, "Hey man, like we're definitely gonna help you try to understand this bracelet, and like we're gonna explain it all to you and every like." It just seems like all of a sudden we're gonna have the adventures of Harry and Jay for the rest of this season, the rest of next season, or whatever. But no, that doesn't quite happen, and I'm kind of just sad about that. Uh, so Harry is to all of a sudden get a phone call from Surrey, like letting Harry know what is all going down with Winter and Isabel and everything. Because Surrey is to eventually find a number of files and confront Winter about it. And Winter is just like, I will tell you everything all really soon. I'm just trying to like wrap my head around this now, but eventually I will tell you. Thank you for helping me, and thank you for putting in all this hard work. I'm going to have to do a reset here for a second. All right. So, Harry is now running off to go and find Winter because Winter is going to find the culprit of the car. So, Harry is chasing after Winter, and Harry is asking Surrey to track Winter's phone. Harry is consistently trying to call Winter, but Winter is going and trying to find the culprit of this car to track them down to ask them questions. So, anyways, so what happens to Jay here? So Jay is to ask, like, did this bracelet really cause my brother's death? And Eve is like, yeah, because reasonably, all this luck that you are to accumulate is going to eventually cause also bad luck for someone else. So, like, you gotta deal with that. You gotta, like, realize that. And so Jay is just like, well, I don't think that I'm going to manage much of anything. And so Jay is to whip out the gun that was in this car. And so Eve is thinking that Jay is going to shoot her. And so Eve is like begging for her life. And so really, Jay is not going to shoot Eve. He's going to go ahead and shoot himself. But that leaves us with Bracelet off. So now we have, I would assume or assess, the perfect opportunity for Harry again to slap on this bracelet. But I don't quite know. Like, I have this feeling that Harry, like, it might be tempting to put back on the bracelet, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next episode. I think they're kind of teasing that Harry will get the bracelet back, but I think Harry might just be like, well, you know what? Like, I maybe like want to be the bracelet wearer because Harry feels responsible for the bracelet, and he mentions that in this episode that if he doesn't have it, like he needs to have it because he needs to be responsible for whatever happens to this bracelet. Hence why he was going after this boxer who ended up giving his own life. So Harry is to, I think, in the next episode, like, there's a tease that he's going to get back the bracelet. I don't think that's actually going to happen because I think Harry's just like, you know what? If I can't, like, take down Isabella without this bracelet, then maybe I shouldn't be a detective anymore. Like, maybe that should be a thing. Like, if Harry, like, takes Isabella down without the need of the bracelet, then, like, obviously, like, he should not be wearing the bracelet anymore. But anyways, so like that would be cool. Like that would be one real cool thing where Isabella could be thinking that Harry has the bracelet on. It's like, oh yeah, of course you had the bracelet on, don't you? Like that's how you could have beaten me. And then Harry could have been like, no, look at my hands. Like no bracelet. Like I don't have the bracelet on. I beat you without this power of the bracelet. Like, could you imagine if I had the actual bracelet on and then I whipped you anyways? Like, wouldn't that be freaking amazing? But anyways, so Harry is a scramble to go to Winter's location because Harry is thinking that somehow or another Isabella is probably going to go after Winter and quite possibly kill him off. So Winter is to go and find the person who was to have this car, and of course, that car was to be of Isabella's. So, Isabella is to make her way back home, and Winter is to stop her, just like, yeah, like, Isabella had mentioned that the location of this car person was actually the opposite spot of where Isabella was to be living, and actually Winter just said that as a lie to just kind of see what Isabella would do. So Winter is just like, you know what? Like, there probably isn't any actual hard evidence that is to eventually showcase that you were the killer of any number of people that had accidentally died during any number of Harry's cases, but I am going to go out of my way to figure out a way to put you away for the rest of your life. Confess now, and like this will be the end of it. Like they'll be lenient on you, and like you'll be able to like get out of this like much more so than you would and whatever. But like if basically you don't go like you don't go nicely, like we're gonna throw the book at you kind of thing. So like like you know like Winter is just kind of like, you know what, like we'll try to be lenient with you if you confess right now. We'll try to like do like help you. So Harry is to start to walk off because there isn't hard evidence on Isabella, and so Isabella's just like, you know what, Winter, you know what, like I think that you need to start having some accidents. So Isabella's just like, hey Winter, and Winter's like, hmm. And so all of a sudden something is to fall, like an attic piece or something like that is to fall on Winter, hit him in the head pretty dang hard, and so Winter is to all of a sudden start to walk down these stairs, and Isabella is to start to follow him. And so Harry is scrambling to get into this location where Winter is, and by the time that Harry is to make it there, Winter had fell an entire flight of stairs, and he is to obviously be dead. And so I'm like, oh man, like Winter was so great. Like, especially in this season. I'm like, man, like they were really going and having like every single episode of both Winter and Harry was just so like great. Like the two like kind of bickering kind of like Harry like Winter, like the interactions with them in this season is just like, man, and now to have that just like, God, like what's gonna happen now? Like, is Harry gonna take over the office? Because Harry didn't want to do that. Like, is it gonna be Orwell that's gonna take over the office? Because really, that would be probably a guy that would make a lot of sense for him to take over. But because Harry doesn't want it, like maybe it'll be Surrey. That would be really cool to have like Surrey take over. Because it kind of seems like Surrey would be like playing the fence a lot, like trying to protect her partner Harry, but also like trying to do what's right a lot of the time. So it probably will be Surrey. That kind of feels like the middle of the road person to go to, and plus also like Orwell has had a lot of uh, like kind of red in his ledger technically. Like he kind of had like a setback and stuff like that. So I don't see him getting promoted. Maybe it's going to be forcibly going to be Harry who's going to be like the acting person until they get like brand new guy to come on in, and maybe that'll probably be a thing where Harry's gonna start all over with a boss that probably hates him. And so like Harry's just gonna be like, God, I miss Winter so badly, because like with Winter at least like I was winning him over eventually. Now I have to win over a brand new person. But I don't know. Like it'll be interesting to see. Like it would suck if, because I'm assuming that maybe there's gonna be a new uh like boss of Harry that is going to be like, oh crap, like this is going to be the worst choice. And maybe it's going to be a guy that's dirty. Maybe it's going to be a girl that's dirty. Maybe it's going to be like a person that you're like, out of all the people you could have chosen, um, I'm hoping it's Surrey. Like, I don't think it's going to be Harry. I think it's Surrey. That makes the most sense, but whatever. It is what it is. So, but I don't know. Maybe Harry just takes the job. I don't know. I don't know what exactly all is gonna like head onto this very next episode. I'm pulling for Surrey, pregnant or not, whichever. So like it would make a lot of sense for Surrey to just like have just like some desk scenes. That'd be cool. Like just having her at this desk. That would work. So, anyways, I apologize for the pregnant thing. I brought that up too much, but anyways, so moving on. So Winter is dead, and Harry is holding his like hand or whatever, just emotional, just distraught. Like Surrey and Orwell are coming in, and freaking Orwell punches the freaking door because he's upset, as well as everyone should be, because Winter was actually a really great guy during this time, and it was like, man, this freaking sucks. And like I think they were setting that up for you to just have that emotional like oh Winter died, like because what if you still would have been an a-hole through this whole time, and like no one would have cared when he died. So he has to be like this very nice person that everyone has to basically fall in love with, and have like a real true reason of like how his death like feels like really heartbreaking, because it does, because it's just like, man, like this guy was like really like you enjoyed every episode that he was in. Like the early stuff you're just like, God, this guy is such an a-hole because he has to be. But you started to like him then. Like there's decisions that he was making that is like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Harry on this one. So with that said, yeah, like that's the way this episode ends, is just seeing Winter die and people are emotional about it. So with that said, I am going to get out of here. Hopefully Isabel eventually does get caught, but who knows? With that said, I am going to get out of here because I spent too much time doing this review. So yeah, goodbye everybody. Bye everybody.